Hi, Professor Race here to talk about inconsistent point of view, also called shift in person or pronoun shift error. Sometimes this is marked with POV, which stands for a shift in point of view, or sometimes people will write shift to indicate this type of error. Exactly what is point of view in writing? An essay is always written from a particular point of view, which refers to the perspective of the writer, and it determines the types of references to nouns and pronouns that are used in the essay. There are three different types of point of view. There is first person, second person, and third person point of view. Okay, let's take a look at first person point of view. It involves the speaker by himself or herself or with others, and uses first-person pronouns like the singular ones I, me, my, and mine, or the plural pronouns we, us, our, and ours. Here's an example of a couple of sentences that use first-person point of view. My favorite food is Italian. Therefore, when I visit an Italian restaurant, I am eager to place my traditional order, fettuccine alfredo with tiramisu for dessert. Notice all of the first-person pronouns there that indicate first-person point of view. Okay, second-person point of view involves addressing the reader directly and uses these second-person pronouns. Here is an example. If you want to take control of your finances, you should cut up your credit cards, make a budget, pay off your debt, and save for emergencies and retirement. Third-person point of view. This is the most objective perspective that a writer can use and is the point of view most commonly used for academic and business writing. Third person uses these pronouns, he, him, his, she, her, hers, it, and its for singular, and the plural they, them, and their. Third-person point of view also includes references to nouns like people, a student, employees, or a name like Moses. Also, indefinite pronouns are third-person references like anyone, everybody, someone. Here's an example of a sentence that uses third-person point of view. People who want to take control of their finances should cut up their credit cards, make a budget, pay off their debts, and save for emergencies and retirement. Notice the third-person reference to people, their, and a third reference with the third-person pronoun, their. Now that we know what point of view is, let's talk about keeping our point of view consistent. So, if you start writing an essay using third-person point of view, don't jump suddenly to second-person point of view. Here is an example of a sentence that does just that. As soon as a person walks into Helen's apartment, you can tell that Helen owns a cat. A person is a third-person point of view reference. A person can be substituted with the pronoun he or she. Later in the sentence, we have you, which is a second-person reference. So what happens is there has been a shift from third-person to second-person point of view. And this is inconsistent and incorrect. Here's another example. Some people enjoy movies like The Return of the Vampire that frighten you. Notice the reference to people. That is a third-person reference. And then you, that's a second-person reference. There has been a shift from third person to second person. So let's fix it. Instead of you, let's substitute the pronoun them, which keeps the entire sentence in a consistent third-person point of view. Athletes need to stay hydrated. You can choose plain water from a fountain, but you might prefer a drink that adds electrolytes so that your performance is optimal. Notice we start out with a reference to athletes. Then you shows up several times along with your in the sentence that follows. That's unfortunate because athletes is a third-person reference. it can be substituted by the pronoun they. And then we have the second person references with the you and your pronouns. So let's fix it. Let's change you to they. They can choose plain water from a fountain, but they might prefer a drink that adds electrolytes, so that now we need to use the possessive their. Performance is optimal. Now, the entire two sentences are consistent in the third person point of view. Gavin refuses to quit smoking even though he knows that smoking is not good for you. This sentence starts out with Gavin. That is a third person reference, a person's name, and we stay consistent with third person as we move to the use of the pronoun he, which does refer back to Gavin. So far, so good. But then look at the end of the sentence. We have you showing up, and that is a second person pronoun. So we have a shift from third person to second person. So let's fix it by getting rid of the pronoun you and saying he knows that smoking is not good for him. Okay, let's see if you can find the inconsistent point of view in these two sentences right here. People can fix their money problems with a little financial discipline. You must pay yourself first, putting a few dollars into savings before tackling any of the other bills. The first person starts out okay. We have people, that's a third person reference, and then we have their, referring back to people. That's also a third person reference as well. So far so good. But the problems start in the second sentence where we have a shift to second person. You, yourself, and so we need to fix those two. Let's change you to they, referring to people. And instead of yourself, let's put themselves. So they must put themselves first. Fixes that shift that has occurred from third person to second person. As we entered the cafe, you could smell the delicious aroma of freshly roasted coffee beans. Notice we. That is first person. But then we have this you that shows up here. That's an unfortunate shift to second person. So let's fix it. As we entered the cafe, we could smell the delicious aroma. Let's try another one. In my workplace, every employee is encouraged to express your opinion. We start out with every employee, that is third person, and then we have your, a second person reference. So let's keep this consistent, get rid of your, and substitute his or her. We use the singular pronouns because employee is a singular word, and we have to use singular pronouns to refer back to that. Basically, it looks like almost every time you and your are the pronouns causing the problems. Now, there are some writing situations that do call for using second person point of view, such as when you might be directly addressing the reader to give instructions on how to complete a task or to issue a call to action. But most of the time, academic and business writing uses third or first person point of view. So an easy way to avoid inconsistent point of view, also called pronoun shift or shift in person errors, is to avoid using you and your in your writing. Good luck.